2010 was the start of a new decade. It was also the year I transitioned from a little girl to a young woman. In other words, I started middle school. 6th grade is when you take your English learning up a notch in America. For example, you learn the difference between there, and well, there. Every day in class, my 6th grade English teacher would assign us a topic to write about and then ask for volunteers to read their writing out loud. Typically, no one would volunteer. But one day, I felt that I had just written a masterpiece, so I took one for the team. I stood proudly and began to read. I told the story of how my grandmother passing away right in front of my eyes is what led my siblings and I to be put into the foster system. I explained how at the age of 7, I had to scrounge for food to feed my siblings. I expressed the abandonment, neglect, and abuse that I felt in a not so distant past. I thought I had nailed the assignment. I was expecting a round of applause, but instead I looked up to a room full of dazed and confused 6th graders and a teacher whose eyes were flooded with tears. She asked me to hang around class, and of course my first instinct was, I'm in trouble. But to my surprise, all she said was, I am so proud of you. She made me feel things I had never felt before. I felt validated, uplifted, and empowered. The fact that she was able to see me not as a troubled foster youth, but as a strong overcomer of adversity was invigorating. She was one of the many people that interceded in my life and helped change the narrative of my story so that I could see myself in a new light and evolve into the strong business owner, author, and foster care advocate that stands before you today. I'm sure most of you have heard at one point in your life how special you are or how bright your future would be. Unfortunately, many foster children aren't hearing this. Instead, they're hearing how 50% of foster youth will become homeless, and that same amount won't even graduate from high school. The trauma and hardships that they experience make it difficult for them to establish connection. Most of the words of encouragement end up falling on deaf ears. To avoid this, we have to rethink how to connect with them. One of the easiest ways to connect with a foster child is by asking them about their life story. The key to developing the trust that is needed is to ensure that they not only hear what you are saying, but believe it. This happens when we change how we react to their stories. Most of the time, our reaction to hearing traumatic stories is often negative in nature. Our heart sinks, our face displays a frown. Unintentionally, our entire body language is displaying that their story is troubling. While I'm not saying that this reaction is wrong, I am asking you to think about the response that this message is giving to that child. We have the ability to give that child a new kind of view. During my journey, I discovered a new system that I call V.U.E. Not V-I-E-W, but V.U.E. Validate, uplift, and empower. I realized that by V validating me, I felt U, uplifted, and thus I was E, empowered to succeed despite my adversity. I now mentor foster youth using this same system. However, V.U.E. extends beyond the realm of just foster youth. It can be applied to anyone with a history of trauma. It all begins with you giving someone a new kind of view. Imagine someone's reaction if rather than letting your lips sink into a frown, you look at them with a smile on your face and say, wow, you are so strong. The validation that you're offering to their story uplifts them, and the combination of these things empower them. This system led me to change the narrative of my story and helped me to view myself not as a troubled foster youth, but as a strong overcomer of adversity. This new view helped me rise from the ashes. I became one of the less than 3% of foster youth to graduate from college. I have broken the cycle of poverty, abuse, and neglect, and my first book that I'm co-authoring in is making its debut this month. This new view, V.U.E., that helped change the narrative of my story and the course of my life can be implemented worldwide to extend its reach far beyond foster children. While I'm not saying that this is a one-size-fits-all, I am saying that it's a step in the right direction towards a new kind of view.